Welcome back to Insight Builder channel, data leaders, Python learners, and SQL masters. Mastering your Postgres database, taking your new database for a spin with 10 must-know SQL commands. And you're going to use Kaggle and Python for interfacing with the database. And you'll be seeing how important that is in a moment. You have the database with you. Hold on a minute. If you think that you still don't have a database with you, just visit my channel and you'll see that there is a playlist called as SQL Mastery, and take a look at these three videos which help you to get the database and set it up in EC2 instance, and then push the data from the Kaggle notebook to the EC2 instance without any issue. It will push all the Airbnb data that we are going to work on this particular video and get you up and running. If you are not aware of what is Kaggle, Kaggle is one of the data science most important, it is one of the most important websites available out there. Take a look at it. It will provide free resources, Docker instances for you to work with. I have given more details in these videos. Let us get back to the presentation. The point of 10 commands. It starts with select, count, distinct, offset, limit, where, order by, coalesce, aliases, getting hang of aggregations using group by, and nesting the aggregations using round and having clause. Okay, you might be wondering, I am totally new to SQL and I don't know about any of these clauses. This video is about to take you to the database server and then start working on the database server directly with these classes and explain what each classes can do. Okay. However, we are going to head to the Kaggle notebook. You might be wondering, okay, aren't we going to go to any database server? Actually, not required. If you go to Kaggle notebook, the Kaggle notebook that I will be sharing in a moment, if you go to that notebook, this particular notebook, which the link will be shared in the description, you will find that the necessary connection to the database in the EC2 AWS EC2 cloud can be created using this command. Let me zoom in a bit. So this is the Kaggle notebook that we'll be using. And the important point here is that whatever command, SQL command we are going to use in this notebooks, you will see that there are lots of SQL commands that we will be writing here, and also we will be practicing. So you will be practicing also. And all these things will happen in this notebook and it will be there for your future reference. That is the important point, guys, that you have it for your future reference. So when you are approaching the SQL database after some 5 days or 10 days or some 2-3 months, you will still know what you have done with the database. That is how you keep reviewing your knowledge. Next, going back to the AWS instance where you will have your instance running like this, you can actually click on connect and you will be able to get an SSH connection link like this, or you can actually get the EC2 instance connect directly by clicking on connect like this. And once you click on connect, you will get the terminal, the Ubuntu Linux terminal to connect with the database. So all these are the multiple ways where you can connect with the database. However, I will still be using the Kaggle notebook for connection. I will be showing you how the things are changing by using this EC2 instance. So you see this is the actual Ubuntu Linux terminal that we are getting from Kaggle. We are getting from EC2 AWS. You see this? This is where if you give an IP config, if you use the command psql u postgres h local, we are going to use localhost because we are inside the host. And if you press enter, you will see that it will ask for the password. The password is 1234. You must have set it. If you are not aware of how to set it, do check my earlier videos. And to connect with the database, that is new database, you have to just say C, and you will be connected to the new database. That is the database that we created in the earlier video. And now when you use /d, you will list all the tables inside that. This is how you start getting connected to the database. You have this database here, and I am going to do two things. I will be explaining you initially. I will be explaining you what I am going to do in this notebook. The Kaggle, the SQL commands I will explain in this notebook first, and then I will go to the server that you see here, and I will show you how the execution happens. So both the things I will be doing. This way of connecting from multiple locations to the EC to the Postgres database, or in fact, if you are using any other database also, connecting to the database servers like this is very important, so that you will know if one of the methods does not connect. So if, for an example, Kaggle for some reason does not connect, then you should be able to go use this method and check it, that why the connection is not happening. So such kind of troubleshooting will be much easier for you guys. That is the reason why I'm following this kind of route. Okay, so without further ado, let me start this notebook. So this notebook, you will be able to get it from the YouTube link, YouTube description link. First and foremost, you need to come into the notebook so that you can edit this notebook. And once you start editing, the necessary data sets, everything has been loaded. So this particular notebook will only concentrate on doing the Postgres database SQL querying. It will not load the data. It will not transform the data, nothing. It will just it will work with the SQL database. For that, you will need to install psycopg2-binary library in Python. So this, if you click on this play button, it will execute this particular cell and it will get installed. And after that, follow it by installing these additional libraries. You will not be needing NumPy, but you will need warnings. But yeah, after that, this is the important part, guys. You might have a different database name when you set up your earlier database. So give the correct database name. The password also, you would have set it up earlier. So use the correct password here. And the EC2 instance host name will be available from the this area. So if you come here, if you click on SSH client, you will see that this part is the host name. So take this part and then paste it in this area, and you are ready to go. So after that, after you have done this, then only 138.156, yeah, 138. So only then you will be able to start executing the SQL commands from the Kaggle environment. That is how you start. So you will see that you should get a string like this. So this is the database type query language that you'll be using. This is the username, this is the password, this is the host name, this is the port, and this is the database. Now we have to import psycopg2 as I told earlier, and we need to create this connection string. We need to have this connection string ready. Then only further connectivity will happen with the database. So this is also required, guys. Do not miss this step. If there is a challenge in any of the above steps, then you have to first of all debug it, that why there is an issue. Okay, now we have these 4 functions. Okay, out of these 4 functions, the top 3 functions have no direct use in this video. So the only one function that is going to make all the activity easy is this function. What this function is going to do is very simple. Whenever I call this function along with the query, SQL query, it will go to the SQL database. So it will take this query and it will go to the SQL database through using this credentials variable. So what is this credentials variable? Go up. You will see the credentials is this particular string. So this string is the credential. So what will that function do is it will take that credentials that I showed just now, and it will start querying the database for you, and it will return a pandas data frame. If in case you are not aware of what is pandas, how Python ecosystem works, please visit this particular playlist where I explain the mastering the Python ecosystem, and I explain the various libraries that work with pandas, work with Python, and among them these 2 these two videos explain in detail how to work with pandas. This is one of the most important libraries in Python, so mastering it is very, very important. So take a look at that, guys. Next, once you have executed all these functions, next what we are going to do is we are going to start working on. You can actually execute this and see. These are all just example that that I have created, so that ensure that you are able to get the connection. So you should be able to get this kind of a feedback reply from the calendar table. So where is this calendar table? This calendar table is here. So you see this calendar table. This is actually querying from the database. So if you want to check whether the answer is correct, actually it is correct, but you can check it out like this. So you see this column name, listing underscore ID, date, available price, and this variable type begin text. If you come here, you'll see the same listing ID, date, available price, available and price, and the type. The type you can see here, and you see how easy it is to interact and also keep track of everything. And if it is only 4 columns, it's okay. But what if it is more than 4 columns? What if the number of columns is really, really large? For an example, if I use the table listings underscore detail, listing underscore details, I will show you listing underscore details, and you will see that it is a massive table. It has more than 90 rows. You heard me right. There are 90, sorry, not rows, 90 columns. All these are the column names, and there are these many columns. And if I, for an example, if I execute it on the database server itself, okay, let me show you what will happen. Listing details. I am using the /d for listing the tables and getting the details. And you see this, you will not be able to see all the columns at all. In fact, you will have to zoom, you will have to scroll up and down, and you have to take a look at this. And the point I'm trying to make here is that the more you are able to use the Kaggle environment, you can actually do a lot more things with this data frame. It's not it's not just the reason for looking at the data looking at the data and storing it in a particular file. I am preferring Kaggle. You can do a lot more things with this data frame also. So for an example, I can assign. So let me take this for particular function. I can come down here, and if I say listings schema, okay, I am going to create a listing schema. I'm going to create a Python variable right now. This is a Python variable, and I'm going to assign the whatever value is getting returned by this function. I'm going to assign it to this Python function, and I will be able to use this variable in a way I want it. So now if you see, I'm already getting the shape of this variable once I get the feedback from this getting schema. So you'll see there are 91 this particular command listing schema.shape will give me the shape of the data frame, and the data frame shape is 91 rows and 44 columns. So there will be 91 rows, so 0 to 90 is 91 actually, and there are 44 columns. And if I want from this listing schema, I want only the column name. So what I can do is I can come down here, I say listing schema, and I say column name. You will see that I am able to get the column names alone. So I actually don't need to just use this complete data frame like this. I can take the data frame and start manipulating it. Not just one column name, how many other column name. If you want to only get the first 10 or 5 column names, what we can do is there is an option called as listing schema.loc, and we can get only the first 5 rows of the column names. What will this do is it will give only the first 6 rows basically. Sorry, not 5 rows, it will give the 6 rows. So this is how you start using the pandas data frame that you get back from the database. This is much more powerful, guys. All these things you will not be able to do in this particular environment where you are directly interacting with the database. You will not be able to do any of those things that I did in Kaggle environment. These are the benefits that I wanted to share with you. Next, how to start practicing. Okay, we have to start with the very basics. We have to just select. So all we are going to do is we are going to use select from. Okay, and we are going to start working on the tables. So the first and foremost, this command, execute this command. You don't need to worry about what this command is doing right now. Just execute this. You will see, you will get a data frame like how I showed at the top, but it will tell you the table names that is available. You see these 6 table names. These 6 table names are exactly the same table names you see here. So if I do a list table here, you'll see that this 6 table names, the same thing I have actually used the SQL query, this particular SQL query, select from information underscore schema dot tables, where table type is equal to base table and table schema equal to public. This particular function is selecting the data from the metadata that is available in the database. All this concepts of metadata, the table names, the column names, etc. will become clear as we go through this series of videos. Okay, so at this moment, just bear with me and let us start practicing the major 10 SQL functions. The reason why I gave you this particular list of tables is that you will need this to refer whenever we are going to practice the SQL commands. Okay, the major hurdle I faced when I was practicing is that unlike other there are a couple of ways to connect with the database, and the tools that we can use to connect with the database, we call it as integrated development environment or IDEs. Such IDEs there are a couple of IDEs that I'll be introducing in the next videos. Okay, before we actually use those IDEs like VS Code, or we have it for Python. If you are aware of Python, you will know about VS Code. If you are aware of Java, then you will be knowing IntelliJ and Eclipse. Like that, there is a very good interface IDE for SQL databases also. It is called as dbeaver. I will be introducing in the next video. But till then, how to manage your table names without actually knowing what are the tables available? Very simple. Have the table names right in front of you. It's as simple as that. So when you are practicing, keep 2 windows. So take one more window, open it in the same notebook, and keep it as 2 windows, 2 browser windows. In one browser window, you can see the table names, and in another browser window, you can start working on the database questions. Okay, this is how you make your life extremely easy with databases, guys. Okay, you have the table names here. You have got the connection from the database through the EC2 connect, and you have the connection, initiated the connection through the Kaggle notebook. Now, first and foremost, what we are going to do is we are going to start by listing the we are going to use select star from listings underscore details with limit of 1. We are going to list it, but what we are going to get is the column names, like how we got the column names here. These column names, we are going to get the column names again, but in a different way. You see, for one particular activity, there are hundreds of ways actually. So it all depends on how you use it. So I am selecting star from listing details limit equal to 1, and I am taking the column names. Okay, you will see all these columns here. These are the various columns, 90 columns that is available inside the listings underscore details. However, you don't need this. Okay, our first and foremost task was to use only select call names from. But why am I getting you the column names? The reason again is to know how to start working with the select. Okay, there are these many columns. Select command, what actually does is that it selects specific columns and then executes and gives you all the rows. Okay, so again I'm repeating. Okay, so assume that this is the entire database table. Okay, what select does is it takes the specific column that you are telling with the column name, it will select only that, and it will select all the rows in that column and it will return to you. That is what the select clause is doing. So if I give a column name table underscore catalog and I say another column name table underscore schema, it will only return me the rows of those two columns. Rest of the columns it will not return. Okay, it will not even read. This is very, very important, guys. It will not even read. The moment it does not read, the data does not get used in this is very important as you come to know about data warehouses and the rest of the other bigger activities that we do with data. You should know how much data is read or how much data will be returned by each of these SQL commands. The point here is that select will select the data that you have, that you want to move from your database to the stakeholders. Okay, the reason why I gave all these columns to you is so that you can start practicing. Okay, how are you going to practice? Very simple. Now here you see this, I am starting to do something called as projecting. Okay, before I go to this, let me do something much simpler. Okay, I am going to say query example 1. Okay, and I am going to say, I am going to use the select command and I am going to say star from reviews. Okay, reviews, and I am going to say limit 5. Always use limit of at least 5 to 1 to 10, guys. The point why I am telling you is that I can go to this particular table and I can show you. So I say select star from reviews. Reviews is the table name. This table name I am going to refer. Reviews limit. Okay, if I don't use limit, let us see what happens. Okay, you immediately see that my rows, it goes up to the end of the row and you cannot see the starting of it. Okay, how much you will scroll, you will not be able to scroll. So the point of using limit is this. So once I use limit like this, if I say limit equal to limit 5, there's no equal to required. Excuse me. If I use limit, so it will only give me the first 5 rows, and it is saying, okay, listing ID is the column name and date name. So all the columns are coming out. However, if I use only select star from, if I don't, I'm not going to use star here. Okay, I'm going to say date. I'm not selecting any other column here. There are only 2 columns. This is a very simple table that I am starting to experiment. I will show you with more complex table. Okay, that will be very fun. So if I am going to use date review from reviews, so use the select from reviews limit 5. Okay, now you will see that it is only returning the date. It is not returning the listing underscore ID. So this listing underscore ID is not getting returned. This is what select does. Now we are going to take the same command, select date from reviews limit 5. We are going to go back to Kaggle and we are going to do the same thing. Okay, and date from reviews limit 5, and I'm going to use the query base function, and I'm going to use the example on it. Okay, and the moment I do that, you will see that I will get a error. Just a minute. It is saying query example is not defined. What is the reason? Because I have given example 1, so there's a typo error. So such kinds of error also mistakes also matter. The more, okay, undefined column. Okay, again a typo here. Right? It's date here. So if you give all the reason why I type, so even though I am experienced, I have been working with database for quite some time, but still I can make lots of typo errors. This is the same expectation can happen for you guys also. So start practicing by typing. Okay, I am showing it all typed here for your easy usage and experimenting. But once you start practicing, you need to type it out like how I am typing it. Okay, so this is how you start playing with the database tables. Okay, now what you are going to do is you are going to go to the next select command. So this select command, we are going to take this select command now. Okay, let us do it the opposite way. We take this, copy this. Okay, go to the EC2 connect and paste it. Okay, you are not typing it. Okay, you are not typing it here. We are pasting it directly. You can use control V and it will paste, so it will not be having any problem. Okay, and you don't need to actually worry about the spaces. Okay, it will not create any problem as such. Okay, but yeah, you can actually move it a bit so that it will be easier for you to understand. Just a minute. See, you see the challenge that you are facing with the facing with such a long query command in the database command line. It is very difficult to work. Okay, even if I type it, after that you do not know whether the data will come out or not. Okay, like this problems will be difficult to debug. But the same thing, if I come here, I can clearly say what is going on here. So I am selecting these columns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns, and I am going to select it from listing underscore details table, and I'm going to limit it by 5, and I'm going to execute this query. Okay, and you'll see that it starts providing me the data. So you see the column names has come. Okay, and you see that I can actually scroll it like this, and I can see all the data like this. Okay, now in listing underscore tables, there are these many columns. Okay, there are so many so many different columns that you can use. So you come here, you just select these columns. Okay, you just want to select some 5 columns like this, copy this. Okay, I'm actually showing you how to practice. Okay, now you come down here, and I'm going to say query example 2, and I'm going to use triple quotes. Always use triple quotes like this, and then do the query, write the query inside that. Select star. So I pasted all the columns. So I pasted the selected columns that I selected here just now. I selected it here. I pasted it there. Okay, like this you paste it. But then once you have completed that, ensure that at the last, after the last column, there is no comma. Okay, but before that, all the columns must have comma. And then from listing underscore details, let me recheck it. Yeah, listing underscore details, limit 5. Okay, just a minute, guys. So once you come back here, once you have pasted everything, and you use the command from listing underscore detail and limit equal to 5, and you can execute it by using this function. Okay, but you will see the reply is like this. You'll be wondering what has happened here. What has happened is that all these columns are considered as strings by the SQL database. You cannot have the column names surrounded by the quotes like this. If it is surrounded by a single quote like this, then it actually becomes a string data. So it's no longer a column name. So you have to remove the quotes. This is also an important point. Yes, it is actually better than typing all these things, but I would prefer that you understand these small mistakes, so that you don't, when you make it, you will know that, okay, now you see that the answers are coming. The reason why I'm actually showing you these things is that you will understand to recover from the errors and to think about what could be wrong. Okay, when you get such errors. Okay, now you see that select is how the select is working. So we are seeing host ID, host URL, host name. So let us do a little more different. So if you go down here, I am again taking some more columns from listing details. The reason why I'm doing these many select from listing details, because there are 90 columns. Okay, so I am going to remove these four columns right now. I'm deleting them, and I'm going to only execute this on the 4 columns, and you will see that I will get the details of only 4 columns. But the difference is that all these 4 columns are the name, the summary, the space, and description. On these columns, again, you can do various kinds of activities. Okay, that is where the next step comes. So now you understood how select works. Okay, but the point here is that you need to start practicing. Okay, now take a different columns and start projecting. The way I got only the specific columns here, like name, summary, space, and description, it is called as projecting in SQL database parlance. take another set of columns from any of the tables. So it need not be only listings table. Listing, it's okay, the mistake here, listing details. Listing, okay, listings, there is a table called as listings also. So let us actually, yeah, there is a table called listings. I forgot about that. So there is a table called as listings. I am requesting you to practice on these, getting the column details, host ID, host name, neighborhood group, latitude, longitude, room type, number of reviews, last review. All this column, I want you to get it from the listings table, like how I got it here. And ensure guys to put a limit. Do not execute the entire rows to be returned by the database. Sometimes there are tables in the database which is extremely big, almost 7 million rows. If you don't use limit, it will try to fetch all the data and your system will hang, because the database server also will hang. Okay, keep this in mind. Okay, now next, what we are going to do next is that we want to find something distinct. What is meant by distinct? So there is a command in SQL called as distinct. What distinct does is, let us go up. So you see all these names here. We want to find how many distinct, meaning unique names are there in this particular column. So let us try that. Okay, what we are going to do is, we are going to create a new cell, like how I created. You can actually click on this button, it will create a new code cell like this, and then I am going to say query name distinct. So I'm giving a name for the query I am going to write, and I say select distinct. Which column name I'm going to use? I'm going to use name. So I'm going to say select distinct name, and next I'm not going to do anything else. Okay, I'm just going to use select distinct name from listing. What is the table name? The table name is listing underscore details. Okay, and I am going to limit it. Okay, I am still going to limit it. Okay, listing underscore details, ensure the table spelling is correct. Listing underscore details, the spelling is correct. And then I come to the next line. I say query base. Query base is query database. So I have reduced the length of it, and I give the name, query name. I give the query here, distinct, and I execute. The moment I execute, what will happen is, it will go to the database and get the distinct name. You see this? It is only showing the first 5 distinct names. So all these are distinct names. Let me again execute this particular query. I will take it to the database and I will show it to you. Okay, I am using it in database right now. I will type it, select distinct name, keep it small, from, okay, I have to always put from in the next. So if I don't give a semicolon and if I press enter, what will happen is, it will actually go to the next line. It will not execute this command. Okay, it will go to the next line. Instead of equal to, here you see it becomes minus. So now I can say from listings, listing underscore details. The way I am pronouncing these tables, it is for a reason, guys. What happens is, whenever you are pronouncing something and doing it on the command prompt or with the computer or programming, right, it ensures that you give the right information, and it also keeps your concentration there. So keep this habit. So it has helped me a lot, in fact. And I'm not going to limit, okay, in this case, and I'm going to say listing details. You will see there are lots of details. So there are lots of names. You saw that, right? It actually crossed above, it went above also. So how to, now you have seen already that there are lots of details. Let us go back to the book. Let us go back to the Kaggle notebook. Now you know that there are lots of names. Okay, how to find out how many names are there? For that, there is a command called as count. So here is one more example that I have used. This is for on the for neighborhood, the same table, but this is for neighborhood. Okay, but this lists all the neighborhood. You see there are 45 neighborhoods. Okay, these are the various neighborhoods in the data table. Okay, but now we want to find out how many distinct names are there. We want to count, we don't want to list them. Okay, so for that we need to use count clause. So I'm showing a different example here, but let me show you how to get the let us say name count query is equal to select count distinct. So I am actually nesting the clauses here. Okay, this is acceptable. So I am saying distinct, get the distinct names from the name column and count it. And in the, I am coming out of the brackets and I am saying, I am actually pressing tab and I am saying from listing details. Okay, I'm not going to limit, it's not required because we are going to get only one row. You will see that in a moment. Query base, and you will see name count query, and the output will be only one row and it will have the number of names. So there are 19,504 different names. So you see this particular column has 19,504 rows. So that is how you count it. So you come down here and if you execute this cell by clicking on play button, or if you press Control Enter in the keyboard, it will tell you how many different hosts are there. So there are 17,264 hosts in listing details. Okay, and again, if you check how many distinct listings are there, okay, how will you check how many distinct listings are there? So it is very simple. Let us go to the top first. Okay, let us go to the topmost. Yeah, where it is. Yeah, if you come here, this is the first query that we did. Okay, you remember this query I introduced select, and this query I introduced to select the ID, listing URL, scrape ID, etc., etc. This ID is a column which contains the unique ID given for each listing. This particular data is about Airbnb hotels, the lodging that is provided by Airbnb website. Under this ID, each ID will have each location or each property will have individual IDs. These IDs will be unique. Okay, and if you look at these IDs, it will have different numbers. It will not be having any kind of a it will be random. It will not have any order, but we know it is unique. So what we are going to do is we can actually use the distinct on ID and then count it. So in that way, we'll know how many listings are there. So if you count it, you will find that there are 20,000 odd listings. But if you scroll down here, you will see that the number of hosts, each listing, each property must have a host, correct? That host will be only 17,264. So what this means? Okay, so here we are counting the number of listings. Okay, so you'll see that it is coming 20,034 if I am not wrong. Yeah, 20,030, 20,030, but there are only 17,264 hosts. So that means there are some of the hosts who have more than one property, right? That is what it means, right? So how to find out? Okay, now the counts the next question. So here we just a minute, I think I am repeating the same thing, so this is not required. I can remove this. This particular query is getting repeated here. Okay, just a minute, guys. Now it is your turn. You have to count the distinct reviewers ID from reviews detail table. Okay, so what am I talking about? So if you go to this, there is a table called as review details. Okay, so when this is hanged right now. Okay, when this particular window is not used for a couple of minutes, this goes into hang because it should not get misused, right? So it hangs. So you have to close this. Okay, without any worries, you can close it and then come back to EC2 instance connect, and you have to reconnect. Instead of doing all these things, we can actually have a connection in the terminal, guys. That is much more easy. Okay, if you have the connection in the terminal, you can directly get all the details. You can let me show you how to work on that. In the terminal, let me go to the Internet Explorer for a moment. In the EC2 window, if you go to SSH client, you can get the this particular string. You can copy this as it is. Okay, come to terminal. This is my terminal where I am using, and press paste the complete command, and it will give me connection to the this way I can SSH into the data, into the server directly. So I have the Ubuntu server connection right now. So just give me a moment, guys. So I'm zooming in for your better view. Yeah, so you see the same IP address that I'm getting, and if I am, just a minute, I think there is an issue. Yeah, sorry for that. You must be able to see that clearly now. And here, if I am going to type PSQL -u Postgres and H local host, I'll be able to get the access to the database. Okay, this is one way of connecting, guys. So I did an SSH, then I connected to the database from inside the host. Okay, but there is an easier way also. This I have already explained to in the earlier videos, but I am repeating it here. What I can do is I have also PSQL command line application in my own server. So I can use user as Postgres, but the host will be the host that I am going to connect to. Okay, how will I know the host I'm going to connect to? Just a minute. This is the host name. This particular host name, I can get it from the EC2 server. Just, I will show it to you. This is the host name, right? This is how you get it. So this is the host name. So you can see the public instance host name. It is given here. It is same. Then you come to the terminal, and if you execute this, you will directly get the database connection. So this will directly connect to the database. So if you give the password, it will, you can start working from the database from this location. The benefit here is that you see the server is Ubuntu, okay, and you will see all these protocols, this kind of SSH protocols that is being used by the AWS. So now I am connecting to new database, and I am connected to new database, and I am listing it. You will see all the reviews, all the tables here. The point I am trying to make it is you are seeing now that you can use another way to connect also from your own local laptop, local server. These are the ways you can actually work around, guys. If something goes down, some of the ways goes down, you can find another way and connect to the database. This is also one way. Now, what I was talking. So I was talking about select star from reviews details. Okay, so reviews details. Okay, let us see what is there in the database tables first. Okay, oh, there are so many details in this, right? So you see, actually there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. Okay, but the 6th column has a lot of information, the comments column. Okay, let me show you. So if I say select comments from reviews details, okay, and I say limit 5. Okay, this is again important. You'll see that it is only listing the comments column, and it is giving me the, if I press, so here you are unable to properly see what is going on. Okay, so I'm just showing it to you so that to show you what is the challenge when you work with the database server. Okay, let us go back to the Internet Explorer again, and let us go head to the Kaggle. In Kaggle, you need to use this select, use the query like this: select, give the comments name and from reviews _ details, and then execute it. I am actually explaining it to you here, but I want you guys to type it and execute it. And next, I want you to find the distinct reviewers ID and count them. These two activities is what I'm asking you guys to practice. So this is the practice required for you. Let us go to the next step. So now, after all this explanation, we have only completed one command. Okay, we have only completed the first and foremost command called as select. And after that, we have actually seen count and distinct and how to count it. And we are told how to practice. But now, from now, it is going to be very, very easy. The next two commands we are going to see is offset and limit. Okay, offset and limit, 1 minute guys. Offset and limit is very simple guys. Okay, what happens in case of offset is, in case of limit, you already saw that what it does. So it actually limits the number of rows that is seen by, that we can see from the table. So for an example, I am just using the limit. I am selecting all these columns here and I'm going to execute this. You will see that it will list the IDs. And here I am using some another order by clause. I will explain to you how, why I am using this. So here you see that order by clause is doing the ordering of my IDs. So here ID has been ordered in the ascending order. So 2008-18, 3209, and it goes on increasing. The reason why I made this here is that I want to show you how to work with offset. Okay, what offset does basically is, when you use limit, by default limit assumes that your starting row is 0. Okay, offset actually makes that to the row that you want. So here, if I want a row number 10, so if I want to offset the starting row to 10, all I need to do is come here and enter offset equal to 10. That is the next query that I am executing. And if I execute this query, okay, it is saying error. Why is there an error? Let us check. Okay, so all the data that we have provided is correct, right? So whenever there is an error, you need to check that. So it is saying the error is coming from the syntax. Okay, so just give me a moment guys, let me check it. So actually it was not an error at all. So it was basically an issue with the Kaggle notebook. So sometimes there will be not in the Kaggle notebook, the way the data gets parsed by the SQL database. So there was some issue. So after checking it, it was proper. And you see that we are getting 5 rows from 42,970. And you see here it starts at 28,818, but it is, these are all not there anymore. So it starts directly from here, row number 10. So this is the reason why I actually created the order first, so that it will be easier for you guys to understand what is going on. Okay, so that is how you use offset. Now, next is how to use filter. So there are so many rows. So first way of filtering I showed you. So you use offset, you change the starting row and you filter the number of rows. So this is one way to filter the number of rows. The another way to filter is that you check one of the columns. So let us execute this particular query manually. Okay, so let us say query review. So each and every query you have to separately create a variable name. And the easiest way to create a variable name is that, think about what that variable name is going to do. First of all, it is going to query. And what it is going to query? It is going to query the reviews, or querying the number of reviews, right? So query review, simple. So select, I'm going to check the number of reviews, number of reviews. From where I'm going to check it? From where I'm going to check it? From which table? From listing details table. Details table, I'm going to check it, and limit equal to 5. And after I type this query, I'm going to say query base, and I'm going to give the name that I created. So query name, query review, and I execute this. You will see that I will get only the number of reviews column. Why am I doing this? So you see that it is giving me the number of reviews and it is limiting to 5. I want to only get the only get the rows where the number of reviews is more than 500. Okay. In the same command area, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add where number of reviews is greater than 500. Okay, all I did was this extra line. Okay, now I execute this. you will see that only it will return the rows which is having more than 500. You saw that only I added this, and you saw the rows were different right now. And this is how the same thing if I actually add. So here if I add ID, and let us take one more, so let us say ID, and let us say review scores, review underscore scores underscore values. Okay, I take this and I say review underscore scores underscore value. Okay, and then I execute. So if the column names are correct, then it will execution will, so undefined column. So the problem is that I have given a column name wrong. The column name review underscore scores. So this was wrong. So execute it again, and this time you will see that it executes and gives me three. It gives me three columns, and all the columns, all the rows and the columns will be depending on the reviews which have more than 500 number of reviews, IDs which have more than 500 reviews. So this is how you work with the filtering option. Okay, now the practice, you have to write at least 5 SQL queries that involve where and limit clause. Okay, use these two tables, review, listings, and calendar. All these three tables you can use. Okay, the point here is that practice, guys. Okay, let me go back to the presentation. The idea of creating such a server so that you can access it very easily is to practice, continuously practice. The more easily you can practice anytime you want, that is the way to mastery. Okay, keep on practicing, guys. And if you like this content, do leave a like. And if you want more content like this and get notification, just do subscribe for this channel. So subscribe to my channel so that you will get the notification on your YouTube dashboard. So that is the point I want to make. The point of creating such Kaggle notebooks, making it easy for you to keep track of all the learnings that you are making. It will be much more easier. Even if you come back after 5 days and if you want to check what has happened, all you need to do is execute the query and see. Okay, ensure that your database is up and running though. Next, what we are going to do is you can actually check. So how will you know what columns to work with? Okay, so how will you know? Using the select star from reviews. So if you execute this, you will immediately get to know what columns are there in the reviews table. Okay, and I'm just showing it as an example. So there is only 2 columns. So it is so simple, right? So start working with that, and you'll see. So these are all only tables to show you how to start up with the exercise. Okay. Now the point I want to next make is how to use order. Create sorting in the rows. So for sorting, there is a clause called as order by. When I use order by, and if I say date, the columns, the rows will get ordered by the date. So let me execute this query. Okay, sorry, let me execute this query. And the moment I execute it, you'll see that I get the date. So my date is starting from 0330 and the next is 1228. So this particular date that I'm seeing is not only just doing that, we are also actually doing a filtering here. So there are 2 activities going on. So now I am using select clause, I'm using from clause, I'm using where clause, I'm using order by clause. There are so many things that is going on here. This is how SQL becomes slowly complicated. Okay, it is complicated, it's not complex. So if you understand each and every clause, how it works, right, you can actually guess, or not just guess, you can literally come to a logical conclusion that, okay, since I am using select star and I am using from reviews table and I'm applying a filter command here where comments equal to none and I'm ordering it, so this clause you don't need to worry. Okay, until this, if you can understand, okay, what is going on, then this clause will be very easy for you. Okay, this is how you split up the SQL command or query that is given to you and start understanding it. Step by step, you have to go always step by step. Start from the select. So it is selecting all the columns, and from where it is selecting, from the tables, and what it is doing, is there anything getting filtered? So check for the where column. And if it is getting filtered, after that check for is there any kind of order by column. So now we are seeing that it is ordered by ascending order. So ASC is ascending. If I change it to DESC, that is descending, you will see that the same filter is still applied, but the reply will come in the opposite way. So I'm only showing so you see this 2018 September 03. But initially, when I actually used ascending, you saw that the reply came from the earlier date. So 2000, instead of 2018, it was in 2017. So you saw how the ascending order date works. So that is the point, guys. And you can use filter order by in a very intuitive way. Sometimes what happens is you just don't get the reply as you want. Okay, especially when there are null values. When there are no values in the for a particular row, and when you are trying to use the filter clause, it actually returns very weird replies. Okay, so this becomes a little confusing in the beginning. Null and none are totally different. Okay, oh, you might be wondering, okay, how it is different. So what happens in case of SQL is that null is a type. It's a variable type. You can actually have a variable type called null. This is little it's not like other programming languages, because in databases null is a very important challenge. So they have given a separate data type itself for it. Okay, so here I am going to execute another one particular query where I am using calendar table. Okay, and I am using price is not equal to null. Okay, let me execute this and let me show you. Okay, this will only return the rows to which there is a price available. Okay, but if I take the same query, okay, and I am saying query null, okay, and I say I remove this exclamation mark. This exclamation mark is telling that not equal to. Okay, if I remove this, then it becomes price equal to null. You will see the difference now. I am going to execute this query null, and I am going to execute this. The moment I execute this, you will see all the prices are of value null. Okay, you might be surprised. Okay, why there is no value here? This is what I was telling you. For the database, null is a data type. Okay, now if I make it as none, okay, and if I execute this, you will see a different set of rows. That is because, okay, just a minute, guys. Okay, so when it comes to the databases, you can actually use not equal to, but the not equal to null, this is one way, but the actual right way to use is to use is null and is not null. Okay, so I made a error in the earlier step, so I just want to correct it. And if I say is null, so I will get all the rows in the calendar table that is having null value. So here you see the reply is none, but actually there is nothing in this row. There is no any letter written as NONE. It is not there actually. This is filled by pandas data frame. Inside the database, let me take, these are the things that is little disadvantages of using Python. So Python will fill its own challenges inside that. So let me go back to the terminal. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, so what we are going to do is select star from calendar. Just a minute. Yeah, you are able to see that. I just want to check whether you are able to see from calendar. Okay, from calendar where price is null, limit 5. Okay, and semicolon. You should always end the command with the semicolon, then only the command will get executed by the SQL database. And you see, okay, this is not because of any error. This is because that the connection got cut. Here you see there is no value. There is no none written. Okay, now if I actually press the up arrow, and if I say is not null, okay, and you see that the values are coming. This is because in this row, in this in this cells, there is actually no value. It is null, it is empty, okay. And one more important point that I wanted to highlight: why I'm using databases, why I'm using Python and Kaggle environment and pandas is, in case when you are actually pushing a file, pushing any file with null values inside the database, right, it will not get easily copied, because null values are not allowed inside the database when you are actually pushing it from the files. So but pandas actually has a way, already it has been programmed that it can convert the null values in such a way that the table can take it, the database table can take it. So these are the advantages of using Kaggle environment. There are disadvantages and there are advantages, okay. I'm sharing you all those points, guys. Now why I am actually talking about null value is that we can actually change the null values by using a coalesce command. So here what I'm doing is I'm taking coalesce on price. Coalesce is basically converting the null values to any value that I want to change. So I'm telling, if wherever the price is null, I want it to be changed as not available, okay. And if I execute this, you will see that instead of having an empty row, I will have something called as not available, okay. So here the price is none, but the null price is not available. And you might be wondering, okay, how did I get this null price at the top? That is by using the alias. So whenever I use as, so after I do a particular command and I use as like this, then it becomes the alias, okay. So let us go back to the presentation for a moment. By now we have already completed up to this seven various functions, 7 various commands in SQL. Now we are going to go into the two more important ways of connecting with the SQL database, working with the SQL tables. Let us go to the Internet Explorer again. We are going to understand aggregations. What is aggregation? First of all, aggregation is basically collecting things together and putting them in categories, okay. That is how you aggregate, correct? First of all, you should know on what to aggregate. So here, for an example, there is a way we can actually think about a way here itself. So we can aggregate the number of rows that are having no price and number of rows that are having a price. This is way of aggregating, correct? So what we can do, we can use that and try to count. So once you aggregate, what you will do next, you will count, or you will try to get the sum total of the particular category. So this is called as aggregation, and this is what we are going to do by using group by clause. Before that, as usual, there is a practice, okay. You need to write 5 SQL queries that involve select, limit and order by, okay. And you can use any of the tables, guys. There is no limit for that. You can also put in coalesce, you can also put in the offset. These are all your challenges, but take and give yourself some 30 minutes time and write as many queries as possible on these tables, okay. The more queries you write, the better you will become. The point here is that these queries will have no reason, so there will be no any question or anything. You have to just write. So how to write these queries, I already told you. All you need to do is type the column names and do the transformation, projection, but write it by yourself. Now we are going to go to the group by. So group by is going to be a little more technical. So let me first of all execute this. I am going to count the IDs and I am going to sum the number of reviews. So you remember that we got the number of reviews here. Where it is, just a minute. Yeah, you saw this number of reviews. I am going to sum these number of reviews, and I am also going to count these IDs based on the host ID. So let me actually show what I'm going to do in this host ID, comma ID. Let me execute this. So this will actually show additional column here. You see this? These are the host IDs. And same host ID can have multiple different listing property, as I explained above. So I am going to group by on host ID, and then I'm going to count the number of listings, and I'm going to count sum the number of reviews. So if I go down, scroll down, where is the group by? When yeah, here. So what will happen is, you will see that I am also using aliases, total reviews and times rented. So you will see the aliases also. So this is how you will get, and you will see, okay, there is only one is coming. So why are we thinking this much? Actually, I'm giving the group by host ID, and if I scroll down, you are seeing only 1 and 2. But are there any other numbers? Just look at this number. There is 17,264. So there are many numbers in the middle which is not showing. Okay, so we have to use limit clause first. Okay, let us use limit. Okay, let us first of all go to the next step. Let us see what has happened here. Okay, so now I am asking you, don't worry about any of those things and practice. Okay, don't worry about what output you are getting. Okay, we will worry about the output later. So just practice group by. Okay, on categorical columns, you should use only categorical columns here for under the group by, and whatever column you are using here in the group by clause should be there here also. If it is not selected here, if it is not selected in the select clause, what will happen is this group by clause will fail. Okay, so for an example, assume that if I say I'm going to use ID, okay, and I'm not going to use ID here. Let us see what happens now. Okay, I'm going to execute it. I'm not grouping by ID here. You will see that grouping error is coming, and if you scroll down, this error is directly given by the Python environment itself, because it reads, it gets the error from SQL. See, here it is explained that column listing details must appear. Listing details to ID must appear in the group by clause. It is explaining to you that you need to do this. So they are very smart, right? So they are explaining you to do that. But anyway, what I am going to do is I'm not going to use ID here. Okay? I'm just showing it to you. And the next point is that like this, you can work on multiple columns also, and you try working on the group by and practice. Okay, I'm going to go to the next step. In this next step, what I'm going to do is I am going to do a lot of things here. Okay, so take it step by step. First and foremost, I am selecting host ID. Host ID is selected because I am using it in group by. Next, I am counting the ID and using aliases as num properties. Okay, and then I am summing the number of reviews and I am aliasing it as total reviews. All these things I am doing it from listing underscore details table. This is the top part of the class. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these two classes for a moment being, time being. I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to execute this. It will execute, okay, and you'll see what the output looks, so that the next step I can explain to you much easily. Okay, here you see that host ID is this, the number of properties is 1 for these host IDs, and the total number of reviews is this much. Okay, 0, 17.0, and all those things. Now I am going to paste these two. So I'm saying that give me only, I'm filtering. So filtering, when you are going to use group by, you have to use having. Okay, you cannot use where. Keep this in mind. When you are using group by, the next thing you have to do is you have to use having only. You cannot use group where to filter. Okay, and in that I'm saying some number of reviews. You might be thinking why I did not use total reviews. They should be able to read it, right? No, actually it does not. I will explain the order of query execution in a moment. So I have to give the complete this in this having clause. What will having clause do is it will calculate the same thing, but it will calculate the total number of reviews based on the host ID, based on the group by clause, and then it will check which rows have more than 500, and it will order by the total reviews ascending. Okay, let us execute this now, and now you will see that the number of the return value is totally different. So you see the number of properties is 1 and the total number of views is more than 500 immediately. And I have also limited it to 5. So you can change this and play with this. So now you understood how to use group by with having. Okay. And also you saw how having can be used. Got it? So this is the way of working with the SQL group by clauses. Now it is your turn. You have to use another 10 group by examples. So you have already done the 10 group by examples here, right? Now start implementing having clause on them and see how to filter the values. Okay, that is the exercise, guys. So most important point is you need to understand the order by which the SQL commands get executed. So order is, it starts from, first command will get executed is from, second will be where, the filter command I told you, the where, third will be group by, fourth will be having, and then only select will happen. So you see this from table will get executed first, and in the table it will filter all the rows based on the condition you are giving, and after filtering it will do the group by based on the columns that you are giving. Okay, and then it will check based on the group by, it will check, do the filter again. So where is the first filter, where it will filter the table input table, then it will group by, and then again it will do the filtering on the grouped table, and then only it will select. So select comes after that. So whatever you are giving in the select, so in this case I'm giving some aliases in the select. This aliases will not be seen by the having. You see this, right? So having comes before select, so that is why it will not be able to see the aliases. And after select is distinct, order by, and limit. So these three commands will be able to see. So here if I say total reviews, it will be it can check the select output, and it can do the what is it called, ordering based on that column, sorting based on that column. So this you need to have it by hearted. Literally you should have it by hearted. Okay, how you are going to by hearted, it is your goal. The point is that you need to clearly understand how this happens. So from table, filter first using where, second group by, third group by, fourth again filter the grouped column, group table, then select, then do order by and distinct, and then limit. This two will happen together at the same time. Distinct and order by are at the same level. Okay, and then limit. Okay, so we are at the end of this particular video, guys, and I have introduced the most important SQL commands that you need to be aware of it. And out of these clauses, the important clause is group by and having, and the other thing is where clause. These are all very, very important clauses. Round clause will be taken in the next set of videos, next set of videos actually, because the reason is that round clause is it's kind of a mathematical clause. So I will be also introducing a couple of mathematical related operations in the next video, so that round I can take it there. But aggregation and nesting the aggregation can be done very easily. So if you go to the Explorer again, just a minute. If you go to the, all you need to do is, if you want to try to do round, in this case, we don't have any decimals. Okay, so I have not done any activities here. I will show it in the next video, so bear with me for that. Practice, guys. So let us go back to the presentation. So right now take this notebook, Kaggle notebook, and start connecting with your database and start practicing. So execute the commands on the database server also and see how it works. The most important point is that you actually have the access to the database server, the data, whenever you want, wherever you want. This particular database server that you are having, that I'm showing in the terminal, you don't need even Kaggle. Okay, so you can directly access this database server and you can start typing on. Okay, the reason why I'm introducing again, just to reiterate that why I'm introducing Kaggle is that you can keep all these things, commands as a reference for you in the future, and you can also share it with others when you are also explaining something. That is the main purpose, guys. Practice, practice, practice. Keep on practicing. The more you practice, the better you will become at SQL, and you will remember the various activities, various steps in the SQL very easily. So the steps, the from, where, group by, having, select, using the order by, and limit, all these kinds of steps that I explained at the end of this video is paramount, very important. So that comes with practicing. So keep on practicing and try to work with the database server. And stay tuned till next video, guys, where I will be introducing the CTEs, common table expressions, joins, CTAS, the create table has select, and the subqueries. These are the 4 important next level of SQL querying steps that we need to take. This all these videos are actually making you ready for getting into data modeling. So step by step, I am going into the actual data modeling of the Airbnb database. So we will look at that in another 2 videos at least. It will require for you to get up to speed and then go to the actual modeling. And also in the next video, I'll be introducing the tools that you can use like dbViewer and dbt data build tool. So till then, stay tuned and practice. See you. Take care. And most important, guys, do like the video and do subscribe to this channel. So once you subscribe, you will get the update whenever I am giving the notification. Whenever I am uploading the new videos, the notification will come to your YouTube dashboard. Yeah, that is all, guys. Have a nice time.